Hey, you're listening to the Smoke Meat Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pittman. Smoke Meat's brought to you by Joe's Underground at the corner of 8th and Broad in Augusta, Georgia, in the bottom of the Lamar Building. I love going to Joe's. They make me feel like I'm family from the first time I ever walked in there to every time I go. You get to go in, you get to hang out with your old friends, you get to meet new friends. Great food, great drinks, great people. Jeremy and the gang know how to treat you, and they show you every time. That's Joe's Underground at the corner of 8th and Broad in Augusta, Georgia, in the bottom of the Lamar Building. Remember, I goes to Joe's and so should you. Another sponsor we've got is the 4 Points Trading Company. 4 Points makes some of the most awesome soy candles around. I've never been a big candle guy until I found some of their candles going out and about with my wife one day, and I was so impressed with them I had to call the company, and I said, I'd love to have your product on my show, and they were agreeable. So, right now here in the studio, I'm burning bacon and I'm burning barbecue, and I'm not going to be able to burn these for long because I'm going to have to go upstairs and fix something to eat. It is just amazing. If the candle says it smells like something, it smells exactly like that. It's just awesome. So go to their website, 4pointstradingco.com, and enter promo code SMOKEDMEAT for 10% off. You won't regret it. You will enjoy the candles. And another sponsor we got now, WW Restaurant Equipment in Thompson, Georgia. Go down and see Mr. Blake Harrison or give him a call, 706-595-9511, for any kind of needs that you have as far as anything to cook with. They can set you up with anything from a single spoon to everything to outfit an entire restaurant. They do hood service. They do ice machine service for your hunting clubs. If you are a hunter, they have everything that you need to process your own game. Quit paying somebody to do it and do it yourself. And they've also got a huge selection of turkey fryers. Big pots, big baskets to go in those pots. Thanksgiving's just around the corner. What better way to do your turkey up, fry it good and crispy on the outside, nice tender and juicy on the inside. Man, I'm about to starve myself today. So going down to see Blake Harrison at the corner of 1894 Moose Club Road. That is the corner of Augusta Highway and Moose Club. Or call him at 706-595-9511. Today, my guest is Kim Richards. Kim has done so many amazing things. Kim was actually the engineer when The Wall was recorded. And everybody that has any knowledge of music knows greatest album ever. Kim also represents some great musical acts. One of my first interviews was Rocky Kramer, and Kim manages him. And they're such a great team. And, I just enjoyed talking to him today, and I know that you're going to enjoy hearing it. So we're going to go on ahead and get this beast kicked off here on Smoked Meat. Hey, so how you doing today, Kim?
Fine. How are you?
Any better, I'd be twins. Oh, yeah. Man, I've been looking forward to this since Eileen sent me all the info, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm fixing to talk to the guy that engineered The Wall. Man.
That was a crucial time in my career. I sure loved that. I begged to get the opportunity to work on that project, and it worked out that I did.
Oh man, that is just it's amazing. I mean, it's funny. You can know people who listen to any type of music, but it's hard to find anyone who does not know it and who does not love it. I mean, that whole album is just, man, there's something about it.
Well, one of the things people didn't know is that in the live concerts that we did in '80 and '81 were all recorded, and we kept those masters were locked up and weren't released, and it wasn't until 1999 that they were released. And so you have the live Wall recordings, which were finally mixed and released and mastered and released back in '99 for something that was originally done in '80 and '81.
Oh man, that is awesome. Because I didn't know that. I mean, it just...
Well, if you haven't heard the live versions, I recommend that you look for it and listen to them, because I personally think the live versions, while the album is terrific, it's obviously, and it's one of the few Diamond records out there, it sold 23 million.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun with the live version, and you feel more personality on the part of the band.
Yeah. I know what I'm listening to tonight while I'm on the ambulance. I'm going to drive my partner crazy because he likes to
There you
drive, and
go.
he's a young guy, and he listens to today's stuff. But when he's driving, I control what's on the radio.
There you go.
So I've introduced him to a lot of new music, and he's actually pretty cool with a lot of it. But I know he knows y'all. I mean, I know he knows The Wall. There's no way in hell he don't know Pink Floyd.
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. I mean, wasn't that the third best-selling album ever behind? I think it was Thriller, and I can't remember the other one.
It's the Eagles.
Yeah,
Hotel California.
Yeah,
And they it varies. It moves back and forth. And one of the reasons why it varies and why The Wall isn't number one is because the last time The Wall was certified was in the late 90s.
mm-hmm.
And it was certified at 23 million, which takes it to diamond status. You can't go any higher than diamond.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was certified in 1999 at 23 million. Can you imagine how many it sold since 1999?
Oh man, if it hadn't at least done half that much more, if not doubled by now, I mean that just it's iconic. I mean you can't listen to classic rock without Pink Floyd and without The Wall. I mean,
and they've done so much besides just The Wall.
Oh
They've got a library of music that's just incredible.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And like I said, I love sitting and listening to them. I think one of my favorite ones is I love Comfortably Numb, but my favorite one is Wish You Were Here.
Oh, Wish You Were Here is great.
Yeah.
And I actually encouraged Rocky Kramer to redo, just for fun, to redo Comfortably Numb, and he did a little video on it. And because it's got such a meaningful guitar part, David Gilmour really, everything he does, he feels that guitar, and he becomes at one with the guitar when he plays. And you hear the emotion in every single note, every stretch. You absolutely hear the emotion, and the guitar is just screaming at you or crying to you. And that is exactly the way that Rocky plays. And so I wanted to hear his version of Comfortably Numb, and I think he did a spectacular job. In fact, I sent it to David,
mm-hmm.
and I'm anxious to hear what he thinks about Comfortably Numb. He had previously, speaking about Rocky, he previously called him a melodic shredder, which the term shredder is used in the rock and roll world to indicate somebody who plays fast.
Yeah.
It's not always, believe it or not, it's not always a compliment.
Yeah.
Because somebody that is just shredding is just playing a bunch of notes all at once. But to be a melodic shredder means that every one of those notes that you're playing fast is very meaningful. And in Rocky's case, that's exactly what's happening. Every single note that he plays is perfectly timed, and it's got emotional meaning to it.
Yeah, exactly. And when I first was told about Rocky, I started listening, and the first time I saw him, I'm like, yeah, this guy's he's the rocker, because that's his look, and he pulls it well. And I started listening. At first, I thought, okay, he's another fast electric player. Okay, cool. And then, like I say, I listened, and it's not just a bunch of random notes. He's melodic. He is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very precise on what he's going to play.
And he's soulful.
Yeah, and I mean it's a part of him. You can tell when he's got Pearl in his hands. That's not his hands anymore. Yep. That's just they're one.
That's correct. When I first met Rocky, I got a telephone call from when I had met a guitarist, a fairly famous guitarist by the name of Mike Panera. Mm-hmm. And Mike Panera used to be in Iron Butterfly, blues image. In fact, he wrote the song "Ride Captain Ride."
Nice.
And when I met him, he was the guitarist for Alice Cooper, and I was doing something with Alice Cooper, and so I met Mike. He was very affable. We became good friends. Well, I've known Mike now for going on 40 years, maybe more. And I got a call from Mike, and he said, "I've got this guitarist I want you to meet." And I said, "Well, that's great." Now, because I've moved up and I'm now heading Allied Artists, I haven't really been dealing with artists directly for quite some time, and I wasn't interested in producing another album. So I said, "That's great, but I'd like to let's get to dinner together and have lunch or dinner or something, Mike." He said, "Okay, great." So he made an appointment with me to go out for lunch. We went out for lunch, and as we got into the car, I was going to go take him back to his studio. He said, "Okay, now listen, I want you to stop by this Starbucks. I want you to meet this guy, Rocky." And I kind of smiled, and I figured, okay, he set me up on this. And so we went to this Starbucks, and we meet Rocky, and I start talking to Rocky, and I ask him what his influences are, and he says Pink Floyd and Queen. So I immediately said, okay, he's been reading my bio. But it turns out he hadn't. He didn't have the faintest idea who I was. He didn't know anything about my background. I listened to his music, and he absolutely is influenced by Pink Floyd and Queen.
Yeah.
So I started listening to, reading the lyrics and listening to, and I realized all of a sudden that this is a concept album. And he's got 14 of them. The Firestorm is the fourth in a series of 14. And so it's amazing. Well, anyhow, so we signed him, and I like to refer to him as an 80s rocker who had the misfortune of being born in the 90s.
Exactly. I mean, he's got that look, he's got that sound, but man, like I say, he does it so well. I mean, I can't really explain the way it makes me feel to watch and hear him play. It takes me back to when I wasn't so old. I'll put it like that.
And it's so natural for him. He really is at one with that guitar. He has a collection of guitars that he plays for different sounds. He's got Pearl is, I think, his favorite.
Yeah, I was going to say Pearl's the favorite one.
Yeah, he plays that most of the time, but he's got a couple others. He's got a Telecaster that is a beautiful cherry red Telecaster, and he uses that for certain sounds. And then it's just amazing. He's got another one, another Stratocaster that's set up similar to Pearl. By the way, if you ever looked at the guitar that he's using, you'll see 3 sets of pickups. Those are what they call humbucker pickups, and that's a very unusual arrangement that he is using for his guitar, and he can change the sound as he's playing. He can change to different combinations of the pickups.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know most Strats, have either 3 single coils or maybe 1 humbucker and a couple of single coils, but he told me Pearl had 3 humbuckers. I'm like, okay, that's where this is coming from.
Yeah,
And,
he custom builds those.
Yeah, man, he does good.
He's a dedicated Fender player. He endorses Fender, and Fender has been just terrific with him.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about his Tele a little bit also, because that's my guitar. I love a Tele, which it's my guitar. I'm a horrible player. If Fender caught me playing one, they would probably put a lawsuit on me. But I chicken pick. It's kind of country shredding. That's about it, But I have fun with it. I'm actually without a guitar right now.
You never want to sell a country player short. Bless his soul, I worked with for a short time with Charlie Daniels, And I'll tell you, I have never seen a band tighter than Daniels' band.
Oh man, you
That
ain't
band
kidding.
was just incredible.
Yeah, and I remember when I first heard him back during the urban cowboy craze. And I've just always been a fan because he was genuine. I mean, what you saw is what you got. And like I say, you could tell they loved playing together. And like I say, they were tighter than 10 toes in a sock.
Well, I'll tell you, he's one of the nicest people I've ever met. He just was just kind and willing to help anyone.
Yeah.
He's just a really, really good guy.
Yeah,
A good sense of humor too, by the way.
that's always important. I know my father-in-law would build furniture and things like that by hand, and one of his claims to fame is he actually got to build a spur box for Charlie Daniels. And
Oh, really?
yeah, he had seen some kind of furniture he built somewhere and asked the guy who built it. And he said my daddy-in-law's name, and next thing you know, he's getting a call. Here's what I want, and he's like, well, okay. So he built it for him, and he loved it, and that was so cool.
Well, that's wonderful. Charlie appreciates things too.
Yeah,
Right? He did.
yeah, yeah.
It's hard to think of him in past tense.
It is. I mean, you with me, music has always been so important to me. Musicians are almost like heroes to me, and it's weird to lose one of them. I don't like losing anybody, let alone one of my heroes.
Unfortunately, I pick up the newspaper every day and looking just to make sure my name's not in it.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. You ain't kidding. And man, I tell you, it must be tough for you when you do see somebody because, like I say, when I was reading your bio, I think the list of people that you haven't worked with is shorter than the one of the people that you have. I mean, you have ran the gamut, man, from Pink Floyd to the Osmond Brothers and Neil Diamond, which, by the way, I love both the Osmonds and Neil Diamond too.
Neil Diamond is a wonderful individual.
Yeah.
I worked with him at the Greek Theater. Well, the reason of my bio, one of the reasons why my bio is so long is because I worked at the Greek Theater, and in those days we had a season that each artist played for a week. You had sometimes you would have a dark day on Monday while they reset the stage, and other times they would just work all night long to reset the stage and then actually have a show Monday night. But the artist would play the entire week. And so Neil Diamond, when he did, for instance, Hot August Night, which I was there for, he played every single night for the entire week, and the record plant trucks were parked down beneath the executive offices. There's a driveway that goes underneath the building, and you can there's all kinds of little work benches and things like that underneath you go in underneath the Greek Theater to go up to the backstage area. Well, anyhow, they had that entire back driveway blocked with a record plant live truck. That was my first exposure to live recording. And I was fortunate enough to be allowed to actually go in and sit in that truck with them when they were recording Hot August Night. And I think that is what lit the flame in me for live performances, for live recordings.
Well, man, you did it right. I mean, that's like getting your first T-ball lesson from Mickey Mantle. I mean, dude, the record plant that was big.
Well, people ask me just what drove me to music, and the answer is that I lived in a home just above the Greek Theater, and when I was 4 and 5 years old, and 6 years old, every summer I would sit on this little white wall, and I would listen to the likes of Judy Garland, Edith Piaf, Nat King Cole. And I would hear these voices just reverberating through Vermont Canyon. And it was just a magical sound to me. And when I got old enough, which was 13, it was like the Pied Piper. It drew me to the Greek theater. And I went down there. I met someone there, and I asked them, I said, what does it take to work here? They looked at this 13-year-old and said, you're too young. So there must be something I can do. And I remember the guy cocking his head back and saying, well, I guess you could be an usher if you want. And so I said, yeah, I'll do that. Does that get me inside for the show? Yes. I said, okay, well, then I'm in. So I went and I applied to be an usher. Once I became an usher, I used the fact that I had the pass to get into the place in order to meet all the sound guys.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, the sound guys started using me, and rather than working as an usher, they just let me work with the sound guys. Quite frankly, I think that they valued me because I was so small that I could carry. They didn't have to fish a wire through a crawl space. They could just send me from one side to the other.
That goes a long way. Anybody that's ever had to do that understands. Oh, yeah. Yep. And it's funny. A lot of people don't think about the sound guys. They're in the back. The only time anybody thinks a lot of times, especially during live performances, if something messes up. But, that makes or breaks the show. Just a millimeter of slider here and there can change everything.
Well, those sound guys at the Greek Theater, I owe everything to, because here I was, this young kid that had first of all, the Greek Theater is a union hall, IATSE,
mm-hmm.
and I was not in the union. I was too young to be in the union at that time. Although that's a whole other story. I later become a member of the union thanks to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, at this time I wasn't, and they started teaching me how to mix. And when an opening act came in that didn't have their own engineer, I got to mix the live show with them standing behind me, but I nevertheless got to learn how to do it. And there was this new band that was opening up for another act, and I was mixing them because they had but I really enjoyed the band. I just thought the music was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so unusual. And so I loved this band. I was mixing them. Well, at the end of the week, I ran across this one of the band members, and he said he was shocked to find out that I had mixed them the whole week, and that they got a lot of compliments over that. And they wanted to know if I would mix for them at a little club in Glendale called the Sopwith Camel
mm-hmm.
During the school year, and I agreed to do so. And, well, anyhow, that got me that gig, and that band was Steely Dan.
Nice. Yeah, you never know who you're dealing with. And good work always pays off. That's for sure. And definitely did.
Well, they were just a great band, and they had the sound. That was my first experience with progressive. I don't think I knew what it was at the time, by the way,
mm-hmm.
but that was my first experience with progressive music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that just floors me, because obviously I didn't know that. I love hearing stories like this, because this is history. This is the greatest thing in the world, and the thing I love is, you've dealt with Pink Floyd, you've dealt with Steely Dan. Alice Cooper, Neil Diamond, you name it, you've dealt with them. Some of the greats, the icons of music, and you see enough in Rocky to know that he can be associated with this too. And I believe that he can.
Rocky has the soul of a classic rock icon, and I believe that he's going to go the distance, because he's got the sound, he's got the writing ability, he has the playing ability of like none I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
And I had no interest whatsoever in producing another act, and so he actually, his talent grabbed me by the throat and said, "Wake up! You got to produce this guy.
Yeah. And he's a bona fide nice guy. That's the neat part. You can tell when you're talking to somebody if they're being fake for your show, or any of that. And I've been really fortunate. I haven't had anybody like that on my show. But I mean, you can always tell. And with Rocky, it was just like we had just been old friends and hadn't seen each other for a while from the start. And that was so awesome.
He's a wonderful guy. Everyone likes him. He gets along with everybody, and he's got a real great attitude.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I just love that about him. Now, I know you did another thing that is just, some people called it controversial, some people didn't. It's a natural progression. You got CDs, or helped get CDs to be a standard.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that saved some room on the front seat of my car, because I had a cassette case that was the size of a Samsonite suitcase. Oh, yeah.
Well, what happened is, by that time I had left CBS Records, and I was at Allied, and I was heading the music division at Allied, and I was on the RIAA's steering committee. I think, as I recall, I'm a member of NARAS, the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences. I vote for the Grammys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I got recommended to RIAA on their technology committee, because I was both an engineer and at that point an executive with a label. And the industry was always slow to adopt new technology.
Yeah.
And so they had the CD was just up and coming, and we kept meeting, and they wanted the RIAA, the industry itself, though, was wondering whether to adopt this technology. And I was all in favor of it for a couple reasons. One, I liked what I was hearing, although in those days the digital sound was a little heavy on the high end, and it could be a little abrasive on the ears if it wasn't treated correctly.
Mm.
It just didn't transcribe the high end information as nicely as it did the rest. We've corrected that long ago. But anyway, I knew that if we didn't adopt the CD, that it was just a matter of time before rewritable CDs were out there, and the listeners were going to use them themselves.
Yeah.
So I wanted to adopt it, and I remember arguing with them, because more than half did not want to adopt the CD. And I remember picking up an old 8-track that I actually had owned at one time. And quite frankly, 8-track was probably the worst technology we've ever had in the music industry.
Yeah.
But and anybody who's owned one out there knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And so, I'm sure that they've used their own Scotch tape to put them back together. But anyway, so I held up an 8-track and a cassette, and I said, "Do you remember the argument that the industry had over this?" And I showed them the cassette. Said, "Replacing this." And I said, "What really happened is that everybody that bought one of these 8-tracks went out and bought the exact same product again, but in this format for this cassette." I said, the industry didn't lose sales as a result. It had double sales.
Yeah.
The same will happen with CDs, but the quality of the product will be better. And as a result, anyhow, I made that argument. I lobbied hard for it. We finally passed it with one vote. By one vote, we passed it, and so we adopted the CD technology.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
cool.
I wasn't there when digital downloads came to pass.
Yeah.
And they did not adopt it then, and I think you know the story at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember LimeWire and the original Napster. I actually subscribe to Napster now, and it's funny because I'll say Napster and people say, "You need to pay for this music." I'm paying. They're legal now. They're good.
That's right.
So no, but I never downloaded anything over LimeWire, just like everybody else that ever had LimeWire. But, and I actually was pretty good with it, unless it was something that you just couldn't find anywhere, you know, because I believe in, the artist needs to make money. They're putting it out there. That's what they're for. Well, that's one of their missions, not the whole mission, but it's nice to get paid for what you do.
Well, the industry has changed,
Yeah,
in that sense, and you're an unusual consumer because the youth today have changed the philosophy of the value of music. They believe the music is free.
yeah, it is
And
not.
they honestly have that mindset. And so the industry, the artists are making their money now in live concerts. So particularly in this age of COVID, there are no live concerts.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny.
So our artists are hurting right now.
Big time. It's funny. I like to blame my daughter for starting this pandemic. Here's why. She loves K-pop right now. She's 19. She is hardcore into K-pop and loves the group BTS. Has been trying to get tickets forever. Well, this last round of ticket sales, she got on a short list for pre-sale, and she actually got tickets to the show here in Atlanta. And 3 days later, we got put on lockdown. So she caused it. Pretty sure.
Well, I believe they're going to redeem the tickets for the rescheduled shows, aren't they?
Oh, they are. They are.
So she'll get to see them eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny that the way they're doing it now with the social distancing, I see the arena show being a thing from the past that's going to be in the past for a good while. I think the focus may be on smaller venues with smaller crowds, but I think the quality is going to go up because of that.
Well,
be more intimate.
We're looking at drive-in theaters.
Yeah.
Using them for live concerts.
Yeah, I saw that Brad Paisley did one of those not too long ago.
Yeah. There's a number of artists that did, and we're actually looking at that for our artists. Want to see if we can. We've got here in the Los Angeles area, the Basin. We have a couple of theaters that have been used in the past for rock concerts, and we're actually looking at putting a group of artists together, including Rocky, and have them play almost like a festival. That way.
I think that would be amazing. And when you get it put together, you've got this number. Please give me a call, because I would, if I'm able to, I would love to go.
I sure will. I sure will.
But yeah, we talked about going from 8-track to cassette, from cassette to CD, from CD to, the digital stuff. I think it's awesome that vinyl's making a comeback.
Well, I don't know if Rocky told you, but his album, he had always, he's a big Michael Jackson fan, and, Pink Floyd and Queen and so on. And when we decided to put, because of the nature of his album being a concept album, when you listen to it from start to finish, you can literally not you can literally not know when you're going from one cut to the next, which is the whole idea of a concept album. And so it just naturally lent itself to vinyl. So I took it to a good friend of mine by the name of Bernie Grunman for mastering. Bernie Grunman mastered all of Michael Jackson's stuff. I mastered almost all of the Pink Floyd material. And he's one of the top mastering engineers in the world. He's literally known globally. And we went in there, and Rocky got to take a picture with him, and he worked with us personally on Rocky's album, and so we released it in a 180 high quality vinyl, and that album is completely available in vinyl.
Oh, outstanding. Outstanding. That's
It's
another thing I love about him.
It's actually a 2-record set, because in order to give it the highest quality possible, we recorded it where we mastered it at 45 RPMs, so that you get super high quality from that vinyl, and so you get the quality of vinyl and that sweet sound that vinyl provides on that double set.
Nice. I remember the first double album I ever bought was I think it was Kiss Double Platinum.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and I just thought that was so cool. I got 2 records for this price, and it was just so awesome. I loved it. It's funny when other kids would go out.
Rocky is a Kissologist, so if you talk to him about it, he can tell you everything that Kiss did from day one to today.
That's why I like him. He's got style and panache.
That's right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's funny, while other kids would go out and buy toys or whatever when they got some money. I remember we would go to Sky City, which was kind of like, Walmart is now, when I was a kid, and I just bypass the toys and go straight to the music section and find Kiss. And I'd always get a new Kiss album when I was a kid.
Well, that's because they put them out every 6 months.
And hey, it worked. It worked. They got my money. Oh yeah, I remember.
Did.
And the licensing they did, the merchandising. Holy cow! I remember being Gene Simmons like 3 Halloweens, and yeah. Oh yeah.
Gene Simmons, his mastery is really in marketing.
Definitely.
He is one of the best marketing men I've ever seen in my life. He's great on stage, but he's actually a genius when it comes to marketing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything without their name or his Moneybag logo or something you can't get with it. And hey, if you can get it, get
incredible.
It. Yeah. So, my hat's off to him. Plus, he's the demon, for Pete's sake. That makes it even more awesome. Who else flew, spit fire, and blood on stage while playing the bass? Come on.
But he doesn't take himself too seriously, though, because when you see him in the Family Jewels, he allows himself to be the brunt of the jokes for the most part.
Yeah.
So I think he's presented himself in a very good light. For a long time, there was a mystery about Gene Simmons, and that mystery got turned into a lovable sort of a lovable guy that is the brunt of the jokes with Gene Simmons' Family Jewels.
Yeah.
And I think that's why his stock went up with the public.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why the way I do my interviews, I when I first started, I would get on with the radio voice and go, "So Kim, tell me about a light artist," and it would have just went to hell from there. But this, we've covered a lot of the same stuff. We've just talked as 2 guys. I feel like I make friends when I interview, and it makes people know you more than your product, and helps them be more invested in you. That way they'll be like, Kim likes Rocky. I think I'm going to listen to Rocky. And I like that about the way I do this show, because it's personal. It's not just some jackass with a mic. I'm just a regular jackass. But oh yeah.
Well, it's sure been a pleasant interview. That's for sure.
Well, thank you very much. And you're welcome on here anytime. You've got this number. Please save it and call and say, "Hey, I want to record. I got a fairly new board. I'm ready to play with this thing more."
Well, that's great. And I appreciate your playing Rocky. He's gonna make some noise. Did you hear the latest his latest cover? The Show Must Go On.
I have not.
Well, We'll get you a link to it, but it's on his YouTube. He just premiered it a week ago, Tuesday.
I'll click on that here in just a minute because I've got his YouTube. I just hadn't been able to watch a lot of YouTube lately.
There you go. Well, it's a video that he put the video together himself.
Mm-hmm.
He sang it, and I just think his vocal performance on this song is incredible. And that's I sent it to Brian May, and I'm anxious to hear his response.
Oh man,
I think Brian will like it.
yeah. And does Rocky know that you sent it to him yet?
Yes, he does.
Oh, I bet he's having a fit.
He's just trying to.
Oh,
He
man.
wants to hear what Brian has to say.
Oh,
But Brian wrote the bulk of. Although all of Queen's publishing just says Queen.
Mm-hmm.
The truth of the matter, everyone gets credit for all of the songs. They decided to share their publishing,
Mm-hmm.
and so. But the truth of the matter is that particular song was mostly written by Brian May,
Mm-hmm.
and it was written during the final days of Freddie's life.
Mm-hmm.
And so the meaning behind that song, the words "the show must go on," they have a lot of impact, and they relate very closely to our current events.
Yeah.
Because right now the show can't go on because of the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So Rocky has taken that song and has applied it to our current events to indicate that the show must go on regardless of what's happened to us with COVID.
Mm-hmm. Man.
So he's got a wonderful video. I do recommend that people listen to it. They'll enjoy it.
And I'm going to put a link to it in these show notes too. Because, yeah, I love to promote him. He's such a great guy. I love him to pieces. I need to call him. I haven't talked to him in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
He's very personable. You can. I've never met anyone that didn't like Rocky.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be suspicious of anybody that didn't like Rocky.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah. Well, Kim, I tell you, man, I've had a ball today. And I appreciate you taking your time to give me a call and let us do this thing today, man. It's just been, I could go for hours.
Well, it's my pleasure. I've enjoyed it a lot, and I hope we do it again soon.
Definitely will. Well, I appreciate it, and you take them easy, man.
All right, you too, my friend. Thank you so much.